Don't make the same mistakes most publishers regret later. In this video, I'll show you the red flags and blind spots many miss when it comes to doing niche research. This could be the difference between success and failure in publishing. I'm Peter. I made over $4.3 million on Amazon KDP, but more importantly, I've helped others get results too. These are some of the daily results of my friend who I helped get started with publishing 1.5 years ago. Now I'm here to help you avoid the pitfalls I faced so you can hit your publishing goals faster. The number one challenge you might face is trademark. This is not something you ever want to cross. You can easily overcome this by doing a US trademark search on the topic you're thinking of publishing a book in. Also pay attention to potential methods that you might add in the subtitle to ensure it's green. It's better to be safe than sorry. If you have BookBeam, you can also check Trademark there. BookBeam is my go-to tool for niche research, and I'm still using it today, almost a decade into doing self-publishing. I made it mandatory for my friend, and it's been an integral part of his success. You have a link to it and a discount code in the description of this video if you decide to get it. Okay, let me show you what I mean with Trademark. So I've searched for Weight Watchers here. You can see the books are selling well. So here we see one, Weight Watching, Smart Points. Not Weight Watcher, but Weight Watching. It's a little bit risky. See, all these books are by Weight Watchers. You see some books, they have the 0 point, and we'll get into that later. You can see it's ranking for Weight Watchers. Here you have someone saying my WW, which stands for Weight Watchers, but they don't have Weight Watchers in the title. You see 0 point again. It was recently published, so that is one thing to keep in mind. So we still don't see anyone who's there to publish on Weight Watchers specifically yet. Here we see the first one, Weight Watcher New Complete Cookbook. So you can see the date here. I assume that if you look back to this in 1 year, you will not see this book being published. And the reason for this, here's BookBeam, the tool I was talking about, is that Weight Watcher is trademarked. And you can see here when you search on BookBeam, you see that it's live here, the trademark, so the status. And if we search here for 0 point, we can see here, that one is live as well. And if we take a look, we Google as well, we see Meet the Weight Watchers, 0 point, and then TM. So these publishers are definitely playing a bit with fire. So if any of those books are your books, then I'd highly recommend that you unpublish them for this reason, because it's not worth the risk. You want to keep your Amazon account safe. And moving on, the challenge number 2 is that you get one of these many softwares that can truly help us make research simpler, or you follow a method that is purely numbers based, but you fail to take non-qualitative aspects into account. Non-qualitative, what a fancy word, what does that even mean? It means things such as what the competition looks like, not just based on the number of reviews, but also their book covers, their angles, or any potential weaknesses or strengths of the competition. Okay, let's take a look at this, solely relying on the numbers of the softwares. So here's another software I very much like, TitansPro. I'll leave a link in the description as well. So overall, the scores that we get from these softwares, they can be extremely helpful, but we don't only want to rely on them. So if we take a look here, we see books selling well, but we also see that the covers are very much looking the same. And we also need to take into consideration, what are they promising here? We see 18 books in one. That's a lot. You also see 1,000 traditional remedies, and you also need to go down and see the books that are not selling. So take into consideration that these books were recently published, and look at the covers. See, is there a way to complement the market before I dive into a niche like this? And I will show deeper analysis later on for niches as well. But you can see a clear pattern that a lot of these covers are looking similar. So ideally in a case like this, look at, okay, is there another cover style that might work well? And of course, take into consideration what these books are promising. So here we see 15 books in one. but still the sales rank is not super good. And here we see 50 reviews and 13 books in one, and it's showing a 5-star rating. So it's above 4.9. So for example, let's say you are not doing a Bible and you're instead doing one individual book, then you can see here, since everyone is promising this 13 or 18 books in one, then this one looks like it's less compared to the other books. These things might not be visible for the beginner eye, which is why it's so important to educate yourself on all these different components. For those who enrolled in the Trifecta and Driven Publishers Elite, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. It will take hours to give you a full understanding, but in essence, you want to consider more than just numbers. For example, think about whether a certain book is driving outside traffic, meaning that someone is promoting the book on social media, and that is leading to the sales rank being so low, which is what we want. Also consider when the book was published. A lot of publishers are now willing to be in the red in terms of ad spend for several months in order to gain rank, which makes the bestseller rank misleading at first glance. Moving on to challenge number 3. You might be considering topics that carry a lot of risk if the information is incorrect. Avoid topics that can lead to a lot of frustration from the readers if the information is incorrect, unless you're 100% certain that the information is accurate and will stay up to date. If you're making a book about building a house, then if the information inside that book is inaccurate, then that carries a lot more risk compared to a reader of, let's say, a simple coloring book. So you can see here what I've searched for, and this can be considered a risky topic to deal with, especially if you're not a doctor. This one is independently published. It says Dr. Janet Howell. Now, is this person really a doctor? That is a question, because instead of treating patients, she's focusing on making air fryer cookbooks and different books about different topics. And this one looks a little bit AI generated, and we see here AI overused words such as vibrant. So this is something I highly advise against. Never lie about the credentials. I'm not saying that this person is doing that necessarily, but this is not something we ever want to do. So think about if the topic is carrying a lot of risk or if it's a very highly sensitive topic. Challenge number 4 is doing what everyone else is doing. You'll see many publishers who found these great and profitable niches, but instead of thinking why the customer is going to buy their book, they're simply adding to the noise by creating what is already out there. So when you're doing niche research, look at the angles of the books, look at the titles, look at the covers of the colors, read the customer reviews. Don't just go to ChatGPT and tell it to make a generic title and outline and publish it. Stop and think. I know it's painful, people don't like to think, but in this case, this is where the money is, in thinking. One tip is to put yourself in the potential buyer's shoes when you're looking at the book title and competing book titles. When you're looking at your book title and the competing books titles, which one attracts you the most and why? Let's take a look at this niche. We can see the top books are selling well, and we see this first book, it has 50 cute kittens. And then we can take a look at some other books that are not selling as well, and we also see the same pattern. 50. 50. So if we take a look at the sales rank here, we see 1 million in sales rank. We see 579. And we have 897. So what you want to ask yourself in this scenario is that if I only do the same book that is already on the market, is that the best use of my time, or are there other areas that might be better, or can I complement the market in a different way? Challenge number 5 that I've seen is that some people completely ignore the numbers. So just like you don't want to be over reliant on the numbers, you also don't want to completely ignore them, because they do tell you a story. How well are the existing books selling? Customers will also look at the number of reviews for a book, and in general, they will think that a higher number of reviews or the higher the rating means that the book is better. That's the cold, uncomfortable truth. It's not either numbers or not, it's both. Okay, so let's take a look at completely ignoring the numbers. Let's say I'm thinking of what people want. I'm thinking that people want to get rich quick. Okay, then it makes sense to make a book on how to get rich quick, right? This is the pattern that a lot of people are thinking. They think that, okay, this is what people want, then thus I make a book about it. But you want to validate with the numbers, is it actually something that people want? And if we take a look here, we see 3 million in ranking for this book, How to Get Rich Quick. We see 3 million as well. And this one, it hasn't sold at all. Challenge number 6 is that you're not looking at the overall pictures. You will see books on page 1 for share yoga all selling well. However, does that mean that that niche is a good niche to go into? No, because you're not seeing the 50 plus pages with books that are not selling well. So don't just judge page number 1. Look at how many publishers have tried and failed and learn from them. Okay, let's take a look at not looking at the overall picture. So here we see share yoga for seniors. The ranks are looking excellent. This must be a good niche to jump into. See 9,000, 20,000, 14,000, 57,000. But what you're not seeing in this niche is that many of these books might be running ads at a loss. So here we can see a book, we're on page 3 now. We see it's published in August of 2024. And we see it has 990 in the bookstore, and we see it has 78 reviews. And you can go on this and look yourself, go to page 10, go to page 30, etc. and see how many books that have a lot of reviews, yet they're not selling well. If you want to get this tool that I'm able to see this sales rank like this, it's called DS Amazon Quick View. It's a free plugin. It's very helpful. So you don't have to click on the book to see the sales rank. Challenge number 7 is that many publishers lack a bigger strategy. This one is placed last because you can still make a lot of money without this, but I'm a big proponent of thinking long-term and building something that can compound on itself. We have parenting, and we have homemade soap, skincare. We have speed reading. We have Amazon Echo, Fire HD. We have some journals. Now, one could argue that the same customer avatar could be interested in all those topics. So it's definitely not the worst I've seen, but what we want is ideally to have the author name be a bit more focused. So if we take a look here at Cocovio, we see that the covers, the font following a similar style on the cover, and we see that they are only doing coloring books. So when people are following the Cocovio author page, they know exactly what to expect, which is coloring books. And we can see that they also have a bigger strategy in terms of social media. You can see the amount of likes they're getting per post. So this is obviously driving a lot of sales for their books. If you like this video, they might also like this video.